Okay, so what we are going to see today, so far whatever we had used everything default. Okay, whenever you create an instance, we had used everything default. Even sometimes we had used to create the C2 instances, but we are not sure what exactly it is and all. So let me explain you. If you see in the left hand side panel, okay, we have one options tab called security group. You can see it here. We have this security group also. So if you can see in the dashboard, in the resources dashboard, we have 20 in this account. I have 20 security groups. Okay, so what we can do here, let me just go ahead and explain what exactly the security group is. So a security group acts as a virtual firewall for EC2 instances to control incoming and outgoing traffic. Okay, so what it says, a security group acts as a virtual firewall for your EC2 instances to control incoming and outgoing traffic. Okay, that means, so once you create a server, once you create a machine, so it's up to you how you restrict the access to the server, both incoming and outgoing. That means who you want to connect your server, and from your server which machine or which website or which server you want to connect back. Okay, those things you can control, it is in your hand now, and it is not managed by AWS. You have to decide how your server to be responded to the outside world. Okay, and it does this by filtering any network traffic both in and out based on rules defined by the user. So you have to define the rules, what access is required for your server. They reduce and in some cases eliminate the occurrence of unwanted communications in the network, and at the same time allow any genuine communication and information to flow in and out freely. Okay, so genuine communication, that means the communication which you trust, which is genuine, you will allow that. So we can give access to the public, you can give access to the specific user, you can give access to specific IP address, specific port, right? All these things we can control it, right? Can you tell me, in general scenario, you'll be working on applications and all. In application side, in the framework, if you think which one can be set to the public. So we have see, whenever we are seeing a product or an application, that application will have consisting the multiple parts, right? It will have the front end, it will have the back end, it will have the business logic and all these things. So in your point of view, which part can be visible to the public, can be accessible by the public? Out of these three components, whatever I told you, like front end, business logic and back end, your database, back end is nothing but your databases, right? Your business logic databases all are backends, and the front end will be the thing side. So which one will be accessible to the public?
Sir, front end?
Yes. So the front end will be always accessible by the public, because whatever the applications are for, one second guys. Okay. So whatever applications or product you designed or your company has introduced and you are going to sell to the market, you are going to give to the public, right, to the customer, and it should be always public facing, and you need to decide what kind of access you have to provide to the front end. Okay, so that it has actually two rules, inbound and outbound rules. So remember these terms, inbound and outbound. So inbound rules control the incoming traffic to your instance, to your server, inbound traffic. So The public who wants to connect to your server, means the inbound, and outbound roles control the outgoing traffic from your instance, to which machine you want to connect. That's called like outbound. So when you launch an instance, you can specify one or more security groups. If you don't specify a security group, Amazon EC2 uses the default security group. That's what the Chandan was asking. If you don't specify a security group, Amazon EC2 uses the default security group which was created as when you create the account. That will be default security group will be created, and that will be the port number 22 will be used. Okay, so now let's see how we can play around with different type of accesses, public and specific accesses. Okay, let's go ahead and play around it. So let me go quickly and
Hello, sir.
yeah.
Sir,
I don't.
actually,
I have one more
different,
question with this security group also.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Yeah, please tell me.
can we change this port number 22 because as it is a default?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have feasibility to change this port number?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we can change. I'll show you how we can change it. Okay.
Yeah.
hello, sir. I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the default security group, actually, what is the function of that security group? So, what things they protect from?
Okay, so the default security group, as Chandan said, and I answered him. So the default security group has only access to the port number 22. Okay, so the port number 22, the protocol being used, actually we provide access to the protocols. Okay, so the protocol numbers, right, the SSH, the secure cell, only public or the customer or the user can connect to this instance or connect to the machine by using the port number 22, by using the protocol SSH. Other port number will not be able to access it. I'll show you with examples how we'll connect it. Okay, now let me go ahead and create an instance quickly, and at that time I will explain you more details. So if I go here, I don't have anything running instances, just click launch instance. So you guys are familiar with this, can select images whichever you want based on your requirement. Okay, so and make sure you use free tier for your demo and practices. Now go ahead and never use free tier for your organizations. Okay, so go ahead and select free tier. The instance type, we already have discussed about the instance type and how to use, what type of instances being used. You can use based on your requirement and all these things, and just let it be default. Now add storage, add tags, give a name, security group. Okay, so here we are discussing the security group one. So as you can see here, we have two options, right? One is create a new security group and the other one is select an existing security group. If you have already a security group created, then you can just use this option and select whatever the security group you want. Okay, but today I'm just going to show you how to create a new security group. Now see, by default what happens, if you don't use any existing security group, by default if you leave it, it will create a security group with name as launch wizard 1 2 3 4 5 6. If 5 is created, next time when you create, it will be created as 6, right? By default it will create, and the default will be port number 22, and the protocol type is SSH, protocol is TCP protocol, and this is the default access label. This is default security group setup. Now if you want to add more ports to it, right, let me just give a name to it, like something I gave like this demo v5 18 June, and what you can give a good name actually. So whatever, how organizational, how real time actually you have to create a security group, the naming convention actually you should give a no specific, and it can be understandable and can be used whenever you need it, right? Suppose you have to give the name as, suppose of your application, suppose my application name is demo, then what type of access do you need, which port you want to provide accesses. Okay, now I'll give suppose 22 80 80 80. So these three ports I want to provide access. Okay, now let's go and add a rule. So you have to first add rules. Okay, now just add rules here, custom TCP. So what you will say here, the custom TCP, just, and better you just give a name to here instead of this. Okay, give a good name here, custom TCP. And remember, you can select the protocol type, what type of protocol and what type of protocol do you want to provide access. Do you want to provide access to HTTP, or want to provide access to HTTPS, or want to provide access to MySQL, okay, DP. All these are the protocols, SMTP protocol, right, DNS protocol, and Redshift, Postgres. All these protocol details are available here. Suppose I want to give access to HTTP protocol. Okay, see, as soon as I select the HTTP protocol, it takes the port number 80. The HTTP by default port is 80. Okay, now here the, okay, leave it now. Now let me add another port. What is that? 8080. So if I go ahead, we don't have a port number as 8080. So what we'll do, we'll add custom TCP rule. We'll add custom TCP rule, and here you have to just mention the port number as 8080. So instead of 8080 also, if you want to add any other numbers also, suppose I want 8585, you can do that. Okay, but I need, as per my requirement is to provide access to the port number 80. Open the firewall, that's called in the technical term, that's open the firewall for port number 8080. I'm not going to open the firewall for port number 8080. Now this port range is done. Now we have to select the IP ranges. So what we can see here in these options, we have custom. That means you can specify what IP addresses do you want to provide access. Anywhere, that means public, right? Anywhere, from anywhere, anybody can access the server if they know the credentials. Remember, okay? Anywhere. And if you want to give my IP, so what it will do, it will automatically calculate the IP addresses. That means from this machine alone, I can connect to the server. Nobody else can connect. Only the machine having this IP address can connect to the server. And if I want to give custom IP addresses, any one of you, if you provide your IP address, then you can provide it. Suppose I am just giving a demo IP address 13.43./32 range. Okay, so when we cover the subnet topics, that time I'll just explain you what is this 32 bit and all. Okay, I'll just explain you. Now you can see here, I just mentioned a public IP address here. I have mentioned an IP address here, and the IP address, the machine which is having this IP address only can connect to this server, whatever I am going to create. Okay, now let me just give us anywhere, and let me go ahead and review and launch. And the key pair, I can use whatever the key pair I have already. So
can you give multiple IP address over there?
Yes, we can give multiple IP.
One person is not going to use that server, right? So
yes, we can give. I'll show you. Let me cancel it. Go to previous. So in custom, right, you can just mention the range of IP addresses. See, the IP addresses you have to give and comma basis. Okay, suppose 1.2.3.4 dot
Suppose there
5.
are lakhs of users.
Okay,
Suppose there are
so
lakhs of users who are going to use that particular server. So do
okay,
you need to provide all the IP address for all the users?
no, for that reason what we have to do, we have to create a file. I'll show you. And you have, because see, even though lakhs of or crores of IP addresses are there or users are there, you have to collect the IP addresses and put in a file and use that file. I'll show you how you can do that. Or else what you can do, anyway, you can, the other way what you can do, the simplest way, simply write the IP addresses in a file, any text file, whatever you want, how many IP addresses, just get all the IP addresses and paste in the field. It will take. Okay, that's the one way. And the other way is to I'll show you how you write in a file and execute that file. It will take in the security group. Okay, that way. Anyway, you have to add the rules, 100 rules, 200 rules, or lakhs rules. You have to add manually one by one if you are using the console. But if you are going to use the automated way, using different tool, I'll tell you, or scripted way, that will be whatever Kishore was asking, if we can add lakhs of IP addresses. It is not easy to do through the UI, because you have to give one by comma and it will be take lots of time, right? Better what we can do, you can just automate this one by using different scripts. Either you can use shell scripts or different tools to use. We have different automation tools available here. I'll show you. Okay, AWS CLI, Terraform, and all these things are there. So once we move towards that, we'll see how it can be done. The Kishore was asking, like, if there are multiple IP addresses, okay, how we'll do that. Okay, so obviously whenever you are using any UI or any graphical user interface, right, GUI, adding single individual IP addresses multiple times is quite difficult. If there is like 10 or 15, it is okay to add it. If more than that, it will be quite difficult. In that cases, we have to use the automations, like to write some script or to write any tool like the Terraform or Cloud Formations to do this kind of automations. Okay, but here you have to just copy paste all over whatever IP addresses you want to add it here. Okay, like suppose I add it here 1, you can add it more like 13, 4, 34, something like /32, like that you can do that. Or if you have there 100 15 or 100 IP addresses, just copy paste on this field, it will work. Okay, now let me make it as public, because I'm going to show you demo with public first, and then we'll make it specific individual IP address. Okay, let's go ahead, and if I could go there and just review and launch machine, select any existing IP address, existing key whatever you have created, or if you have not there, you know how to create it. I'm not going to explain further on this. Go ahead and launch instances. Done. Now view instance. So let me just refresh it. And today also I'll show you. Okay, maybe IAM we cannot maybe cover today. So there are a lot more things I'll teach you today. How to install the softwares, and how to access the port, how to use and see how the firewall is opened. All these things I'll show you today, all real time. Okay, real time you have to work all these instances. Refresh it. So we need the IP address to connect, the public IP address to connect the server. Okay, so I got the public IP addresses. Now I'll connect. Okay, demo server v5. Okay, fine. So how I will connect it? Simple, use SSH protocol. We have this SSH protocol firewall opened, right? Firewall opened for this SSH protocol. So whatever the security group we created that time, we have created the SSH protocol. Now let's connect back, and you have to provide the certificate. So it is demo server, right? Same. And the Amazon Linux default user is EC2-user. Remember, don't get confused. For Ubuntu server, the default user ID is Ubuntu. Okay. For Amazon user, the default user ID is EC2-user, and give the public IP addresses of the EC2 instances. Now hit enter. Yes, first time it will ask for the fingerprint to be added. So the fingerprint is added now. Good. Now you can see I can able to connect to the server. So as I have given firewall, let's go to the instances and see. So I have now into this instance ID. When you click this instance ID, let me show you again. When you click this instance ID, you will get all the informations, right? So here in the security tab, if you go little down in the security tab, you can see what the security group is added. What is the security group added to these instances? So the security group name is demo 22808080, right? And what is the inbound rule and outbound rule is attached. You can see the inbound rule, all these are the inbound rule, and the outbound rule is attached. Okay. Now there was like Chandan was asking, right, whether we can delete the default, that port 22 or not. Yes, we can delete it. So how we'll modify that? If you want to add any new port to it, or you want to remove some ports, how you will do that? Simply go to this, click here, okay, click this link security groups, and it will be landed you into the security group page. Okay, so 1 second. Now you are into the security group tab, and you can see the security group which we are going to edit. This is the security group. Okay, now security group name, security group ID and description, everything is there. Now you can see here edit inbound rule if you want to see, and if you want to edit any outbound rules, you can see it here also. Okay, now let's first see the inbound rules. Now in the inbound rules, we can see here what it says. We have all these accesses for these protocols. Okay, this port range is 22808080. Okay, now let's go ahead and edit inbound rules. Okay, as I don't need this IPv6 protocol, let me just delete these things, unnecessary it is. Okay, now we have only 3, that is 22, 80 and 80. And if you want to delete the default 122, so what will happen? Let me come out from this server. Okay, let's see if I remove this, what will happen, and then save the rules. I saved the rules now. Okay, so my rule is now changed. I have only 80 and 88 access. Now let's try logging in using the SSH protocol. From your side you will be using the PuTTY to connect, right, using SSH port number 22. Now let me connect back with SSH protocol, okay, with the server. Let's see what is happening. See, it will not able to connect because there is no firewall opened for this protocol, because I removed the SSH protocol port number 22. I removed it, I deleted from the security group. Now the port number 22 is blacklisted. Okay, it is not whitelisted. So whatever the firewall will access will provide, that will be whitelisted. The technical term we call it as whitelist. That means we are going to whitelist IP addresses, so we are going to whitelist the port numbers. Okay, now we have blacklisted the port number 22. That means we have removed port number 22 from the security group. Okay. So it will just try to connect, and then it will fail with timed out error because there is no access to the port number 22. Now if I go back, and you were asking, someone was asking, right, whether we can add multiple security groups. Okay, yes, we can do. So how we'll attach multiple security groups to the instances? Let me show you. Go to the instances here, go to the instances, select the instance whatever you want to change, what things. So you can see the action button here. Okay, and you will see, if you click this action button, you can see here the security options. Go ahead, change security group, right? You can see here, change security group. If you want to change any security group or add any security group, you can click this option, change security groups. So we have only one security group added here, right? And if you want to add another security group, associate another security group, what you will do, just select, see, associate security groups, click on here and find out whatever the security group is created. Suppose I have another security group, let me just go and add, suppose like demo Linux security group. I'll just add it here, demo Linux. This is the security group ID, add security group. Now you can see here these two security groups it added. Okay, so you will be saying, like, you will be thinking how it will work, right? So this security group is having 3 protocols which are whitelisted, and this security group will have few protocols, 1 or 2 or 3, which will be whitelisted. So all these things will be added to the instances. It will be act as the whitelist or whitelist firewall for these instances. Now save this.
One question, Ranjit sir, here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
So it is like this, yeah, security group which you are adding here. It is like we are creating a multiple security layer for that particular IP to access. Is it like that?
Yes. Multiple accesses, and we are whitelisting multiple ports, multiple IP addresses. So we'll be having, suppose, okay, let me give you a real-time example. In your organization there will be multiple teams and you will be working on multiple projects. Okay, and your projects might have some different requirement, and another project will have a different requirement. You will have few number of ports whitelisted, and that project will have few number of whitelisted. Now there is some requirement comes, if you want the port numbers whatever by project B is already there created, you want to add in your project also. So what you will do, you will simply, whatever security group is created, you will add to your project A or the server A, or for, you can use it for the project or for the server whatever you have created. Okay, now how you will create this security group separately, that I showed you while creating the instances. We created the security group. Now I'll show you how we can create the security group separately. Okay, now if I go to the security tabs, you can see here I have now 2 security group added associated with the instances. This instance 2 security group is associated. Now see what is that. If I go inbound rows, we have 8080. That means both the security group is having 8088 port accessed. So if I go here, click on this security group, you can see here this security group is also having 80 and 8080. Okay, fine. Now this security group is having port number 22 alone. Okay, let's go back. I think I need to refresh the page. Just refresh this one. Okay, and demo 228080, it is having 8088, but this security group demo Linux SG is having port number 22. Now whatever port number 22 we had deleted, we had removed from the initial security group, now it is being added as part of the new security group. Now if I go ahead, see, when I removed the port number 22, it gave operation timed out because the port 22 connect to host this port 22 was blacklisted, was not whitelisted. Okay, now if I connect back, what will happen? It will connect because we have added new security group demo Linux SG, which is having port number 22 is whitelisted. Okay, see, it is quickly connected. Now it is connected. So as Jyoti was asking me, like the real time how we'll add it, right? The security groups, it will be added. Thing is, we'll have multiple security groups based on the multiple requirement. Suppose I will create a security group for only port number 22 and 80, and I will name it different, and I will create some security group for port different range. Actually it is being created based on the port range, Okay, so let me go ahead and create and show you some other examples here. Now remember, first thing, whenever you create any instance, you need to update the instance first to make sure your software, your operating system is up to date with the market. Okay, so why we need to update it? The simple thing is, the image, whatever image we used to create the instance, that image was created by someone else or by the AWS community days ago. Like it will be created months before, years before. Okay, years before if it is created and you are using now, there will be lots of, because the images, what is the image? It is a template. All the instructions are bundled into all the layers, images of application installations, everything was bundled and it is a template and we are going to use, and the template is being created long back by someone else with different versions of libraries or binaries, right? If I going to use in my project, I must need to update that if I need updated versions of everything, right? So what you have to do, simple things, make it as sudo. That means I am going to, so that you can call sudo or sudo. So we are going to run it as a super user, as root user. Okay, sudo, and then yum. Amazon Linux uses the package manager. Okay, that's yum. For Ubuntu, if you are using, you have to use apt or apt-get, apt-get. I'll show you for Ubuntu also. Okay, apt. So instead of here I'm as using Amazon Unix, I used yum. For Ubuntu, you have to use apt. Okay, now let's go ahead. Yum update -y. So just hit enter. It will update the packages. Okay, so no packages marked for update. That means whatever images I used is up to date. There is nothing to be updated. Fine. Now that is done. Our operating system is up to date. How you install the softwares? So you guys may have some ideas about Apache server, right? Have some ideas about Apache server. What is the Apache web server? The Apache web server, server is a web server which will allow you to run your web applications, right? You can run your web applications to the web server. So I'm going to show you how we can install Apache web server on your Linux environment. Okay, so it's very simple, guys. You use again sudo, become sudo user, or to overcome this you can make as su, okay, or sudo su, change to the root user. Now I am into root user. Okay, So what I'll do it here, I'm going to install the Apache server. So the Apache server is, I have to use the package manager. Let me run as different similar way, like using sudo. It will be clearly understandable for you. I'm going to use a super user sudo yum, okay, sudo yum install httpd. So the Apache web server application name is httpd. Remember, give -y. So that means you are allowing you to install. It will not ask you for any confirmation. It will not ask you for any confirmation. It will simply go ahead and install it. If you don't provide -y, what it will do, it will ask, wait for your confirmations whether we can proceed or not. Let's see. Now you can see, is this okay? It is asking now the confirmation, for the confirmation. Okay, yes, go ahead and install it. Good. So the installation is completed. Now you can see the httpd server installation is completed. Fine. So how I will access this httpd server? Now my application is installed on this server. How I will access it? Remember, Apache server default port is 80. Apache server default port is 80. That HTTP protocol, right? HTTP, Apache server uses HTTP protocol. Now, how will access it? Simply go to your machine, right? Get the IP address. As it is a web server, we have to use a browser to access the application, right? We have to use the browser to access the application. Let's go ahead, paste the IP address here, hit enter. Okay, so what it says, this site cannot be erased. Why? We have already check the proxy and the firewall. We have already port number 80 is firewall provided. Then why it is still not open? Because there will be another thing is the HTTP. We only installed it, but we have not started the HTTPD service, right? So how we can do? We can simply use systemctl command, system control command, systemctl start httpd. Okay, so I have to use sudo system control start httpd. Okay, so if you want to see whether the httpd is running or not, so use systemctl status httpd to check the status of this httpd server. Hit enter. So what it says? Inactive. It says it is inactive. That means this httpd service is not running. The Apache http server, it is not running. How I'll start it? Use sudo systemctl system control, or you can say systemctl start the server name, the service name httpd. Hit enter. Now if I see the status, see it is now active and running. The server is now active and running. It is very fun, guys, if you do practice, and because I'm going to show you how you can create applications, web applications. You can host your applications. You can create any website, okay, and any website, and you can use EC2 instances to host your website, and we can show to the world. Okay, I'll show you now. If I go ahead and see, as soon as I started the service, my application is up. Now this is my website, and this is the default web page of Apache. Okay, now let me design my website. So how I'll do it? It's very simple, guys. All the files, right, indexes. Okay, what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and use this one. What I'm going to do, so the when we install the HTTP server, the default folder, the root folder of the HTTP server is var slash, you can just go into slash var, okay, www/html. If you do pwd, this is the default or home directory or root directory or working directory of HTTP server. So all these index files and everything we have to put it here only. Now I'm going to create one index file here. Let me do that here. So if I do index.html, okay, so let me go ahead and create something. So what I'm going to do, simply quickly create a HTML file. I'm going to quickly create one of the HTML file. What I'm going to do, simple things, I just added it here, okay, and okay, so it should be written, must be written and sudo, right, sudo bi under root user, okay, HTML. Let's paste it whatever I copied, save it, okay. Now if I go out and refresh this page, now I deployed my own application. This is the default one. I am now modified and deployed my own application. See, it gives me. Now if I want to host anything in this server, I can host it, okay. If I want to copy whatever website I have designed and put it into this HTML folder, in this folder it will host your application, it will host your website, okay. And you can share this public IP, okay. You guys can type this public IP on your laptop. You can see this application will be visible to you also. Just type this and see how it is working, okay. 3.111.23.110. if I hit enter, you will also can access this one, because I have provided access to the public. You can also able to access it, okay. Now we see this.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Hi, sir. Could you please show the again how to insert HTML code and how to save what is the command actually?
Okay, that's okay. Now first thing is, once you install it, it will be under this var at www/html folder, right? And you can create index file like this, and this is the HTML syntax. You can get it from Google. If you want to learn any HTML syntax or anything, just simply use it. Or so, and then suppose I want to add it. So this is the VI editor. I have used the VI editor. Again, you can simply use any number of text editor, text document, .txt file, right? You can create a text file, add whatever you want. If you're not familiar with the VI editor, this is a VI editor, one of the editor of Linux platform, okay. If you are using Windows, what you can do, you can simply create the HTML file, the index.html, or the website we can design here, we can keep it and transfer to the server. I'll show you how you can do. But as Jyoti was asking to how to save this VI editor, VI editor itself, it will take 2 to 3 days to learn VI editor itself. Okay, it has lots of commands, it has lots of things to understand. Maybe whenever I get some time, I'll just go through this VI editor one day, so that everyone will understand that one. But nowadays every developers are using different, like VS Code. I'm using VS Code too. It's a very good tool, right? If you are founder of this BI, this is a developer tools, and also you can create a number of projects or anything in this Visual Studio Code. That is called VS Code or Visual Studio Code, and from Microsoft. This is created by Microsoft, and they have different softwares for different platform. Okay, fine. Now let me show you, Jyoti, how it is done. Let me add one more here. So within this center tab, I am going to add one more stuff here. Suppose I'll add S3 tag. Okay, so let's go ahead and S3 tag here. So once you write it, so okay, now if you want to write it, you have to press I to insert. You can see as soon as I press I, it will give me insert mode. That means you can insert whatever things you want. Okay, now if you once you write whatever things you want to write, simply press escape. You will be in the command line mode. Okay, colon. If you see here, colon is getting down, and then if you use W, that means it will save the file. Okay, if I hit W, it is written like it is saved the file. If you want to quit, just Q. After saving, you will quit it. Okay, and if you want to do quit without saving, Q not. Okay, if you do both save and quit, WQ. Okay, save and quit. Done. Now I added one more line. If I go ahead and refresh it, say, right, that is what I directly added and updated into the server. Okay, so okay, now what I'm going to show you, so we learned about the things, how to install it, and we'll see how the ports are being applied. Now if I go ahead and remove the port 80 from the security group, okay, let me go and show you. Let's go ahead and go to the security groups here, security groups. Okay, so if I go ahead, so what is the security group name? It was demo 228080. Okay, now let me go ahead and modify this security group. Now let's edit inbound rule. So I'm going to change this to public. I'm going to make it to my IP addresses. Okay guys, so guys, can you just type this IP addresses and see whether you can access or not? I'm going
Yes,
to
we can access Ranjit sir.
Okay, fine. Now let me just remove this and add my IP address only. I'm going to add my IP address. Okay, now I'm going to save the rules. Okay, now you can see here this port 80 only this IP address. Can you refresh the page and see whether you can still able to access or not? Because I changed the rules. It is now only the IP.
No, It is not allowing. I think it's going on in a loop.
Exactly. So it will not allow you to connect because I just added only this particular specific IP addresses can able to access it. Okay. Now if I go ahead and refresh, see I can only access. I can only access, but it is blocked for you. It is blocked for you. We cannot able to access. Okay. Now you understand clearly, right? You can able to answer the questions if any interviewer asks you how you can provide access, how you can whitelist, how you can provide firewall access. Now you easily, now you understood what firewall access is, right? What is the security group is.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have any doubt or any questions, guys?
Mm, one question I would like to ask, like with this related to the security policies only.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is my understanding? Like, even this any kind of financial organization, they, I believe, like they add multiple security group
Mm-hmm.
because of the threat outside. So, if data breach, if any threat tries to attack the, like they might be able to access one or two layer, but beyond that, if they have multiple layer of secure firewalls, they won't be able to access it. But do they, like when any threat attacks, we set any kind of alarm also, so that like security groups will be get alerted, like anybody is trying to access or any of the group.
No, that just cannot be done here in this security group. But we have multiple level of firewalls, multiple level of securities. We have another like SCL, that is called access control list. Through the network level, network side, how we can restrict the access. So we have now two level of accesses. One is the firewall through the security group, and as the firewall access to the access control list using the ACL. So two life of two levels of securities we have. So first we saw the server levels like the security group. Now when we go and learn and study the security topics, right? The VPC part, the virtual private cloud part, networking part. That time I'll show you the ACL, how the access control list or the security being applied through the infrastructure level. Okay, two levels securities I'll show you. So now you are familiar with these security groups, right? Firewall and everything.
Yes, yes. One more question I have, Ranjit sir.
Yes.
So as like these security firewalls
Mm-hmm.
is added from a client perspective, because client portal, like the web UI is only exposed to the user. So what happens, like if a user tries to enter any random random character in a username or password, and they try to they try to bypass this firewall and get into the database of the particular application. How do we protect that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And first thing I'll tell you, like we never do the public face to the database. Okay, nobody know the URL of database and the IP address database. Okay, so when we create and set up the infrastructure or set up the project, right, the database always will be in the private mode. There will be no public access. No one can access to the database. Okay, only through the server, through the public server. That is that has different uses, different technologies. When we cover the VPC part, that time I will explain you. Okay, so yes, so whenever you select the attacks to that one, that has a different development techniques for database, how to restrict this kind of attacks. That has a different method that does not come under the DevOps or this cloud classes. Okay, that has a development strategic development, how you control the securities. Because see, yes, so whenever we access a database, a developer or a DBA must control the things, how the databases can be connected. the vulnerable, right? The vulnerable, the attacks by any cyber threat, like any cyber, in case of viruses or any attacks, that can be prevented. That is a different part. Okay, that is a different part. But here, by using these techniques, or the security groups, or SCL, or public and private categories, we can stop accessing from the outer side. So this is the initial security stops. So how will stop accessing the databases and server, and then that is the developers part, or the DBA part, how they will secure their database, how they will secure their database. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Understood.
Yeah, fine.
Thanks.
No problem. So okay, so I think Satyavai not joined. Fine. After this one, okay. So we are good with, yeah. Please tell me.
So when you customize the IP address, is there any rule, means 117.21 or any randomly we can put this?
Which one? Which one?
Means when customize one IP,
Yeah.
IP ID,
Yeah.
like 117.214
Yeah.
like this. Is there any rule, or we can randomly put the number?
No.
This
This is the real IP address. This is the real IP address. Do you know what is the IP address of your system? If you provide me, I can give the IP address or access to you only, so that you can only access to this application. Okay, this application is now I am only access because this is my IP addresses. This is my system IP address. I am able to access from my system because I have whitelisted this IP address. If I whitelist your IP address, then you only can able to access to the application. I cannot able to access the application. Okay. Got my point, right?
Ranjit, I mean,
Yeah.
what I understand here is like, let's say there are n number of people who want to access this application, so there will be individual IP addresses for all individuals, all people.
Sorry. Can you come again?
Let's say for this one, I mean, as you said, right, this IP address, if its user permission is granted to a specific user, he or she only can see the application. So what I wanted to ask is, will everybody will have their IP address which will be used to recognize or will be used to give the access for a particular application?
Yeah. So the IP address, suppose I am using this server. Suppose my team, I am working for an organization, and my team using these IP addresses to connect the server, to connect the applications. And suppose I have 7 users. If those 7 users connecting from this server or from these IP addresses, then those 7 users can connect to this application. That is a different topic, guys. That is a different user management topic. How you manage the users to access the application. This is what I am talking about, is network access. How you can restrict based on the IP addresses. How you can restrict from where you want to connect. Okay, see, in your organization there will be multiple teams will be working, and you want particular team to only access this server or this application. So what you do, we can provide either to the server from where they are connecting to this application. We can, because they cannot use from their own or personal laptop, right? Any organizational application they cannot access from their personal laptop. So what you have to provide? You have to provide the server from where officially they are connecting. That is the one way you have to provide the server here. Or another one is the provide access user level. Provide access to the user level. Okay. That user level is the secondary part. The first part is how you provide access and open firewall for a server. Understood, Gunjas? You are asking, right? Chandan. Is it clear, guys?
I think Gunjes was asking that question.
Yes, I'm clear.
Oh yeah. So Gunjas, is it clear for you?
Yes, Ranjit, I mean it's clear.
Okay, good. So, okay, fine. So the thing is, this is all about the firewalls. So this is just the starting, guys. Okay, don't get confused.
Ranjit, I have one question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you have removed the port number 22, so if you want to connect to that particular instance again, so I need to give the port number as 80 and then again connect to it?
Okay. So, if anyone else understood Ranjit's question and you understood clearly how the security group works, can you answer his question?
I got the part of the question. Actually.
Okay.
Last part I missed it.
Okay, Ranjit, can you tell the question again, please?
Yeah, as we have blacklisted the port number 22, right? So in order to connect to this instance in PuTTY, we used to give the port number as 22 and the IP range. Sorry, the IP. After giving the IP, if we give the port number as 80, will it be connected to that particular instance or what we need to do?
Yeah. So,
As per my understanding, if we have blacklisted any port, and like if we have removed it, like 22, we have removed it, and if we are again trying to connect with the 22, it won't allow. But if 80 is already there whitelisted, and if we are trying to connect with the 80, it will allow. It will download the fingerprints, and it will allow you to enter into the system. As per my correct me if I am wrong, Ranjit sir.
yeah, so Chandan, you are somehow correct. The thing is, if we blacklisted the port number 22 by using the protocol SSH, because the port number 22 belongs to SSH protocol. Okay, the type SSH. Through SSH, you cannot connect back to the server. And if you are giving port number 80 whitelisting, then you can only able to connect through HTTP protocol. Through HTTP protocol. That means through this, if you see here, right, it will have the HTTP protocol. This application will be HTTP protocol, right? See this HTTP through HTTP server only you can able to connect. Okay, and if you want to give it back, what you have to do? If you want to, suppose you blacklisted 22 and you want to again add port number 22, or you want to whitelist the port number 22. So what you can do? You can simply go ahead. You can add rules here.
Add rule.
And just give the port number SSH protocol, right? Select the port number SSH, and suppose I want to give public anywhere. Save the rules.
So in order to connect to the PuTTY, always SSH will be done.
SSH should be there. Yeah, SSH should be there.
Yeah.
See, for Linux, okay, for Linux default port is 22 because we need SSH to connect to the Linux server. We cannot able to connect with other ports. Okay, only 80. And after we gave that one, and the other things are different for different type of protocols. Okay. And from, suppose I used SSH to connect to the Linux backend, we need 22. This is the backend using the SSH protocol. And the front end, any application you want to access, you have to use HTTP protocol, right? Or any other protocol, any custom protocol. These are the, or you can use secure protocol HTTPS. That you can use it. Okay. And security things, actually it will be very important, guys. And if you are getting a carrier, going to build your carrier on cloud or on cloud-based technologies or anything, or any server, anything, though you need to understand all security concepts and all. Okay, so how you have to do it and this. See, I'm giving all 100% whatever I know, and I'm just explaining you each and every steps from beginning to the end. Okay, and it's up to you how you take it and take it forward and learn by yourself and do the practices. Okay, I'm taking more time to deliver because if you see EC2 only, I used to take only 2 to 3 days, but 2 to 2 classes, but I'm going to take and want to give everything so that you will go in depth and learn quickly. Okay, and it's up to you. If you do once or twice practices, you will come to know what is exactly it is and how it is being done. Okay guys, do you have any questions, or we can wind up this class for today, and next class we'll see there are many things to learn so far. So we completed only security groups, we have elastics, we have completed security groups, we have completed key pairs and all. We have still pending elastic IPs that will come, we'll see in our networking part. We have still volume snapshots. Though we have completed EBS part, we have still volume snapshots are there. I'll take Monday classes for volumes. Volumes we understand, but the snapshots, backups and all these things we have not still done. That's also most important parts. Images we have completed entirely. And this load balancing and auto scaling is totally different. It will take 1 day classes, both load balancing and auto scaling. Okay, so tomorrow classes we are not going to discuss all these things. We'll directly jump into user management. Okay, so at least now you got a few things on our EC2 creations. Okay, though we have some time now, let me just quickly go ahead and create Windows instances, and I'll show you how you can connect to the Windows instances. Okay, it is very easy. Let me go ahead and create one. Go and launch instance. Okay, select it, search it for Windows, and Windows also have some free tier. We have Microsoft Windows Server 2019 base AMI, okay, 19 data center, and this is 19 base with containers. Fine, so I'll select this one. Now select. Okay, I'm using T2 micro. Let it be default everything. Add storage. See the difference. Can you see the difference, guys? Here, what was the storage, default storage type and storage everything for Linux platform, and what is the difference you find it here for Windows? Okay, so the different
device and snapshot.
Size is also different, right?
Yeah, size is also different.
Size.
So the thing is, yes, device, snapshot will be always different for each volume you create. For each volume you create, it's up to you whether you want to use the same snapshot or different snapshot. Now, to understand that, we should first finish the snapshot chapter also. So we have still snapshot, volume and snapshot I was telling, right? Snapshot. So that snapshot chapter we need to finish first, and I'll show you how to create the snapshot and use it to create the volume. Okay, good. Now we can see here the default size, it takes 30 GB because Windows is very heavy, right? To install all the Windows framework, .NET, all this, it will take lots of storage. So that's why default it takes 30. You can increase it if you want. Your Windows system is required 100 GB, 500 GB, 1 terabyte, you can provide it here. Okay, 100 GB, 200 GB, you can provide it here. Now our tag, demo Windows Server. Okay, simple things. Security group. Okay, so here what is the difference? You saw it here. The
Protocol is different.
Yeah, by default for Linux it was taking SSH protocol, port number 22. Okay, SSH protocol port number 22. But for Windows, we need to connect through the remote desktop connections, RDP, remote desktop, right? Remote desktop connections we need RDP, and the default RDP protocol is 3389. Okay, now you have to select it will be default, it will be RDP. Now let's give a name, or I just want to give a same launch wizard on anything. Okay, leave it there. So I don't want to change anything. Let it create a new security group and add it here. Now go ahead and preview and launch instance. Launch it. And for Windows, we should have use a key pair for Windows. Okay, suppose I have already 8 July Windows Win server. I'm not sure whether it is available on my system or not. Let me go back. The July Win server certificate is there. Okay, fine. So I'm going to use the one which is I am already created, right? So launch instance. Okay, by the time it gets created, let me delete the other one. Let me delete the Linux server because it is not required, unnecessary it is there. So I don't need this server to be running. So let me delete it. I'll just terminate it. Terminate. By the time it is terminating, I have the Windows server. Okay, so the Windows server started running. Let me see. Okay, now I got the Windows server. So how you will connect, guys? You need the user ID and password to connect the server. So what you have to do, you get the IP addresses, open RDP, that how you connect the Windows server on your Windows laptop, right? Just in the search button, search for RDP or RDC, then see the Windows, give the IP addresses. But how you will get the user ID and password? Let's go ahead, and here you can see one connect option, right? Connect. Click on this, and how you want to connect to your Windows machine. Suppose through RDP client. See here, through RDP client, and here the default username for machine is administrator. Okay, you click on this RDP client and just get password. What it says, password is not available. Please wait at least 4 minutes after launching an instance before trying to retrieve the auto generated password. Okay, so it will take some time to get the password generated. Okay, by the time, just refresh the page and just wait for a few minutes, at least 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, go ahead, just click this Windows server, and this is a task for you. Okay, you can see it here, this connect button, and go to the RDP client. Okay, so what it says, connect using RDP client. So here you can see the password, here the DNS, public DNS, and username administrator, get password. Good. So once you click this get password, the key pair associated with this instance is 8 July Win server. So I'll have to paste the key whatever was used while creating the instance. So in my download page, I'll go ahead and go to the download. Set. This one downloads. Okay. Okay, so I have this downloads file, and I need to paste select the key. So 8 July 1 server.py. Open it. Okay, so now you can see here, as soon as I upload, it gives me some keys here. What I have to do, I have to decrypt the password. So once you decrypt the password, you can get it here. See, user is administrator, password is this one. Okay, now how you will connect? Use your system. Okay, I have one RDP in my machine, in my MacBook. Okay, that is not working. I think this not updated, so it is not displaying it over. Okay, I'll not maybe I cannot connect it now. RDP, it is not the application. I think it is outdated in my system. I need to update it, then it will show it here remote. Okay, what it says here, Microsoft Remote Desktop. I have an application in my MacBook. Okay, through that I'm able to connect. But in your Windows machine, you have to connect through your RDP. So you have to get the administrator, username is administrator, password this one. Okay, after decrypting. So now I'm going to quickly show you. Add new PC, add PC here. So give the IP addresses of the PC. First, let me copy this password. Okay, first I have to give and I need the IP address, right? I need the IP address. Okay, guys, I have to one second. Let me show you quickly. I need to go out. Yeah, so I got it. Okay, get the IP address. Get the IP address here. Okay, put it here and add. Okay guys, I have to go little outside now. So this is a task for you. Okay, and from Windows machine it is very easy to connect. You get the IP addresses and you get the default password. Username is administrator and password is this one. Okay, just give it and try to connect, and tomorrow I'll you just tell me whether you are able to connect or not. This is a task, guys. Do yourselves. Okay, after creating the Windows machine. Maybe I'll share this video maybe around evening, okay, afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock. Okay. If you have